Welcome to the Aquaflow Crypto Lab. I first want to say congratulations. Congratulations on taking this massive step towards learning how to code your own indicator in Tradingview. After more than 2 years of hard work and studying charts and strategies, I'm here to help you to code your very first indicator. After this video, life will not be the same for you anymore. This tutorial is for everyone. But first and foremost, it's for those that has no idea about how to code a script to create a custom indicator in Tradingview. And believe it or not, you don't have to be a genius. Anyone can do it. Why? Because it will focus on simplicity, okay? You will see it's very, very easy. And once you know how to code, the crypto world is yours, because you will have the freedom of creating an indicator that suits your investor profile. What you're about to learn will serve you for the years to come, and the sooner you master it, the better. That's all for the introduction. Let's get started. Welcome back. First, one of the most important things you have to do is to subscribe to the channel, guys, and hit the notification bell. It's very important for the support. Now, let's begin. Click on Chart. Okay. Now I have the XRP chart display. If it's not the case for you, you just have to go to this box here and you type XRP USD and you take the first line with bitstamp, okay, because this is the price chart with the most history. Then you can scroll down to see the entire price chart. You can change the time frame here. Currently it's using the daily time frame, but you can choose the weekly time frame. It's a bit better, okay? You can see that we don't see anything here because the price was too low. And to fix this issue, you just have to click on log and it will use a logarithmic scale. The purpose of this video is not to explain what it is, so just do it and let me know in the comments if you need more explanation. So this is the price chart for which we will create the indicator. Remember that each candle is a weekly candle and you can zoom in and zoom out by scrolling up or down. And if the price scale is not good for you, you can drag it like this and it will look better. So where do we code the indicator? I will accept this. At the bottom of the screen, you can see Pine Editor. You click on it and this is the matrix, guys. This is where you will put your code. As you can see, we already have some code in it and I will explain what it is in a moment. But first, you need to understand what code is about. You know that I'm French, right? But I have to speak English because if I don't, you will not understand me. So we are using English as a support of communication between you and I. Let me explain. I'm here and you are here. And I have to speak to you through words, right? Well, it's the same thing between you and Tradingview. Imagine that you have to communicate with Tradingview. You will have to use some kind of language to explain to Tradingview what you mean. So at the left, let's say that it is a human, right? And at the right, we have Tradingview. Instead of words, you will use a language that is called Pinescript. That's why it's called a Pine Editor. So we will use Pinescript. And with this Pinescript code, you will explain to Tradingview what you want to do on the chart. Is it clear? Now let's analyze the default code. you see that we have 4 lines, right? And we have different colors. For example, this line is gray. Here we have some blue, green, and some red. I forgot. To keep on using the Pinescript editor, you will have to create an account, a free account in Tradingview. So I will do this and we will continue. So I was saying that we have 2 first line in gray and each line starts with 2 slashes, as you can see. When you see a line like this, it means that it is a comment, and the comments lines are ignored by Tradingview. Let's add a line, for example, so // this is my first indicator. As you can see, the line is gray again because I started my line with 2 slashes. So as the lines are ignored by Tradingview, you can write whatever you want. And we use this kind of lines for explanations of the code, right? If I do something that is pretty complicated, I can add some comments here. For example, here I can explain my code. So you can do whatever you want. These lines are ignored by Tradingview. However, this comment is a bit special because this is the comment that says to Tradingview what is the version of Pinescript. So you can see that here we have a @ version, and the @ version will be detected by Tradingview, and it will say that it is the version 5 of Pinescript that is used. Then you have 2 lines. So the first line is saying to Tradingview that it is an indicator. And the title of my indicator is my script. The second line is plot close. What does it mean? It's saying to Tradingview that we will draw, plot, it's like drawing something. So we will plot the closing price of XRP, right? So let's add this script to the chart. For this, you need to click on Add to Chart. And as you can see, we added the My Script indicator to the chart. And it is displaying the closing price of XRP. Congratulations, guys, this is your first indicator. Before going further, you need to understand exactly each line of this simple script. Let's review it. First, you have 3 lines. These lines are comments. Each comment starts with 2 slashes. This one is a special comment because the @ will be detected by Tradingview and it will say which version of Pinescript we are using right now. Then let's talk about these 2 lines. In English, if I have to talk to you, I will have to order my words in a certain way. For Pinescript, it's the same. I will have to order my lines in a certain way. And also, when I'm talking to you, I have to use a vocabulary that you can understand. Well, it's the same for Pinescript. You have to use a vocabulary that the Pinescript editor can understand. This is why in the comment section you can write whatever you want. You see, I'm writing in English, but here we have different colors, and these are keywords that Tradingview can understand. And for each keyword, you have a documentation. If I put my mouse over the indicator word, you can see the documentation appearing. It's saying indicator, built-in annotation function. So it is a function, right? Because it will do something. It will have an impact on the chart. And it's saying the function sets a number of indicator properties. and you can see below it syntax, and you have the description on how to use this indicator function. One of the first parameters is the title, and as you can see, here is the title of my script that you see just right here. If I remove it again, add to chart, it will put my script. If I change it to my awesome indicator, I close it, I add it again, it will put my awesome indicator, right? So when coding an indicator, you will always have this line as the first line. Is it clear? On the second line, you have the plot function, right? And it's saying plot with the close price. If you put your mouse over it, you can see the documentation, but let's try something different this time. You can control click on plot, and now you have a new pop-up, right? And it's giving us the documentation of the plot function. We see how to use it. We have the name of the function plot with all these parameters. And here is an example of how to use the plot function. You see that the first parameter is a series, okay? You can see the description of the arguments of the function, series of data to be plotted, right? And this is exactly what we are doing. We are plotting the closing price of XRP. Now let's talk about the syntax. You see that every time we use a function, indicator or plot, we have parentheses, right? We have one here and one here. And between those parentheses, we have the arguments of the function. An argument is like a parameter. It's like an input, okay? It will be the input of the indicator function. And as an input of the indicator function, we have the title. Thanks to this input, we will be able to configure the indicator, right? With a title. It's the same for the plot function. As a parameter, as an input, it will take the closing price of XRP, and that's how we will plot the closing price here. I hope it's clear. If it's not, let me know in the comments. I will try to answer. Before writing our own code, we need a strategy. And for this, we will use the RSI indicator. So let's display the indicator. So this is a built-in indicator. You can put RSI like this. Got it? And you will see relative strength index. You click on it and it will display just here the RSI indicator. Let's remove our indicator for now because we don't need it. This is what you need to know about this indicator. Don't worry, I will not explain the formula behind it, but what you need to know is that it is a momentum indicator that is oscillating between two values, 0 and 100. And it's very interesting because you see that we have major tops for XRP, and each time we have a major top, we have the RSI that is around the 100 value, right? You can see it here, here, and recently we had a top here and a major top before the SEC sell-off. So let's draw a line. We can say that if XRP is above this level, then there is a good probability to have a major top, right? Because here we were above the line. Here, let's say, let's put the line just below it, right here. We can say that we were above the line, it was a major top. We are above the line, it is a major top. We are above the line, it is a top before a retracement. Here again, major top. Here again, major top. Here again, major top, right? Now let's see if we can find such a lines for the bottoms. Okay, so we have the bottoms of XRP, one here, for example, maybe one here, major one right here, and maybe one right here. And let's see. Okay, here we were in this zone. Here again, we were in this zone. Here you see it, we were in this zone. Here we were in this zone. And that's it, guys. So let's draw a line. We can see that if the RSI is below this line, then we have a bottom for XRP. Do you agree? So let's add it as a comment. We can remove all these comments in the script and we can say when RSI is greater than 83, we can sell because it is a top, right? And we can say the same thing for the bottoms, but this time it will be below, let's say, 38. So when RSI is lower than 38, we can buy this time because it is a bottom. Do you agree with this? Okay, so now we have our strategy. Let's code it. So first we will modify the title of the indicator. I said my awesome indicator. Let's put my awesome buy sell indicator. Then we need the RSI, right? Because our indicator is based on the RSI indicator. If you understood what I said earlier, now we need a function to calculate the RSI. So let's have a look at the documentation of Pinescript. For this, you can ctrl-click on indicator and it will show the documentation of Pinescript. Or you can go here and click on Pinescript reference pop-up and it will show the same thing. Now we are looking for a function, right? And it is the RSI. So let's put in the search bar RSI. Okay, it's interesting. You see that we have a function that is called TA for technical analysis .RSI. Let's click on it. And we have the documentation and it's saying relative strength index. This is exactly what we are looking for, so we will use it. And here is an example of how to use it. So let's take it. So you have the ta.rsi function that is taking two parameters. We know that these are parameters because they are between the parentheses, right? Do you remember? Then the source parameter could be the closing price, the opening price, etc. And the length is a number of bars. It's like for moving averages, you have 20 weeks moving average, for example. It's the same for the RSI. You can have a number of bars that is used as an input of this function. Okay, so now let's try to plot the RSI. You have an example just right here. So let's copy it. We will close the documentation. We can remove the previous plots because we don't need it anymore. and we will replace it by the plot of the RSI. So you remember, this is a function with a parenthesis, okay, an opening parenthesis and a closing parenthesis. So the plot function is taking as a parameter this, okay, and this is the RSI using the closing price and 7 bars as parameters. Now let's try to display this on the graph. Okay, so my awesome buy sell indicator, okay, this is great. And then we plot the RSI and let's see. Okay, so this is pretty good. It is between 0 and 100, so it seems to be the RSI. But if you have a closer look, you will see that it is a bit different compared to the chart below, okay? Because here you see that the price, well, it's not the price, it's the RSI, it's at 97, and above on this chart it is at 85, right? You can see it here and here. So 97 and 85. So it's not exactly the same thing. Why? If you take a look, we used 7 as a parameter, but let's see what are the parameters on this RSI. It is 14. Okay, so let's change this to 14. We will close this and add it again. Now it's way better. It's exactly the same thing as above. It's blue because it seems to be the default color used by Pinescript, but we can change it, of course. But the values are the same, as you can see, right? So this was the first step. We know that we need to code this, right? When the RSI is greater than 83, we can sell because it is a top, okay? So the first step was to be able to take the RSI, and we did it. But we will change a bit the code to make it easier to understand. We will take this and we will move it above. You know that this will calculate the value, but we need to store the value inside another variable, right? So we will say RSI value equals the call of this function, okay? What does it mean? It means that we will call the ta.rsi function and we will store the result of this inside this variable. So now in the plot function, as this is the result of the RSI function, it means that this is our RSI value. So we can put this inside the plot function. So to sum it up, we call the ta.rsi function with the closing price and 14 as inputs, and we store the result inside the RSI value variable, and we put this variable as an input of the plot function. Here you can give whatever name you want because you decide of the name of the variable. It's just a variable, okay? So I can say RSI value, I can say RSI result, okay? It's whatever you want, but you have to use the same name here and in the input of the plot function. Does it make sense? Now, let's try it again. Let's plot it. And you see that we have the same result because we didn't change anything about the algorithm, but we used an intermediate variable to store the result of the RSI function. Is it clear? As you can notice, the name of my variable is in white because it's not a keyword for a function. The built-in function of Tradingview are in blue. As you can see, if I put my mouse on it, there is no documentation for it. But if I put it on a function, then we have a documentation. For the close price also, you have a documentation. So it is recognized by Tradingview. Let's have a look at it. So control, click, and it's saying close price of the current bar. So this is the closing price of XRP. We could search for the opening price. You see open here, current open price. So we have different keywords to select the closing price, the high price. I could put high just right here, and you have access to the high price. Let's close it. And the 14, you see there is no documentation for it. It's just a number. Take your time to understand the syntax. We have a variable. We have to use the equal to say that we will assign the result of this to this. If we don't use equal and we add the indicator to the chart, we have an error, okay? You see that there is no indicator on the chart and it's saying add to chart operation failed. Reason, RSI result is not a valid type keyword. Of course, we know that it is not a keyword. So that's why it is very important to use the right syntax. But you cannot forget it because you have to say RSI result equals the result of this function. So now let's try it again. Add to chart, and now it's working. Let's do another test. If I forget, let's say, a parenthesis, and I click on this, add to chart, this time again, it's saying add to chart operation failed, reason, line 11, syntax error. It's because it's very important to use the right syntax, and when you are using a function, you need an opening parenthesis and a closing parenthesis. Okay, so let's add a comment to say that this was the calculate the RSI. The next step is calculate the sell condition, okay? So we have the sell condition just right here. It's saying RSI greater than 83. So let's code it. So we will create a new variable just like this one, but this time it will be for the sell condition. So sell condition, it's the name of the variable. We can choose whatever we want, but it has to make sense, right? Sell condition, so it will be RSI result greater than 83. Now, it's a very simple line, right? We check if the RSI result is greater than 83 and we put the result of this with the equal operator inside the sell condition variable. So the sell condition variable will store the result of this. And we will do the same for the buy condition. So this time it's the buy condition. We will use another variable with buy condition. but this time the RSI is lower than 38. So we will put 38, and this time it's lower. So far we calculated the RSI, then we computed the sell condition by checking if the RSI was greater than 83, and for the buy condition we checked if the RSI was lower than 38. Now we have to say to TradingView to plot buy or sell on the candles of the chart. Let's look at the documentation to see if we can find something. So ctrl click, and we will put plot. We have multiple functions to plot, right? We have the plot that we already know, but we can plot an arrow, plot bar, plot candle, plot chart, plot shape. Let's see, maybe, I don't know, plot arrow. What does it say? Plots up and down arrows on the chart. Up arrow is drawn at every indicator positive value. Okay, this is not what we want. We want something else, maybe plot shape, plots visual shapes on the chart. So this is pretty good. Let's try it. So we have an example, you already know. So we have an indicator line, we already know about this line. Then we have the plot shape. So let's take these two lines because we have already an indicator line for our case. Then, as you can see, this function is taking two parameters, right? The data parameter that is computed here and the style of the shape. In this case, it is a X cross. The first parameter of the plot shape function is series. And if you have a look here, it's saying series of data to be plotted as shapes. This is exactly what we want. Series is treated as a series of Boolean values. What does it mean? A Boolean value can have two values. It's either true or false. In this example, every time the close price will be greater than the open price, the data value will be true, and if it's not the case, it will be false. And when this value is true, then we will plot a shape, because the plot shape function will plot an X cross every time data will be true, and when it is false, it will not draw a shape. Is it clear? Pay attention to the syntax of the second parameter. You see that we have two parts in this input. We have style, then equal, and then we have a value. In fact, you have two ways of using parameters. You can name the parameter. This is what we did here, because the name of the parameter is style. You see it here, it's style. So we name the parameter with the name of the documentation, and then we assign a value with the equal operator to this parameter. Okay, so this means that we assign the value shape.x cross to the style parameter. But in this case, here for the first parameter, you see that we don't name the series parameter. It's because we don't need to do it, because it is the very first parameter. And as long as you keep the same order as the order of the parameters in the documentation, you don't have to name it. That's why for the very first one, as it is also the first one that we want to use, we don't need to name it. But the style parameter, it is the third one in the plot shape, but it is the second one in our case here in the example. That's why we have to name it, because if we don't, it will take the shape.xcross as the value of the title parameter, and this is not what we want, right? I hope it's clear. Let's copy the example, but we will replace the condition because we want to plot a shape when the sell condition is met and when the buy condition is met. So here we don't need the data variable. We don't need the data variable, but we will plot a shape for the sell condition and also a shape for the buy condition, right? Do you agree? So let's try it. Add to chart. Okay, so let's see what's going on. We were expecting the shapes to be here, right, on the charts with the candles, but it's not. It's on our indicator chart. So let's try to fix it. Let's go back to the example. Control click, plot shape. Okay, I see what's going on. You see, in the example, in the indicator function, we have the title as a parameter, but we also have a second parameter, right? It's saying overlay equal true. Let's see in the indicator documentation, what is it saying? We have an overlay parameter, and if you go to the overlay parameter, if true, the indicator will be added as an overlay for the main series. This is what we want. Okay, so let's try it. We have indicator and we will add overlay equals true. So now let's try it again. Okay, so yes, it's working, guys. It's amazing. You see it? We have little crosses. One cross here, a cross. Okay, some crosses. So it's it's working, guys. Great. But we can improve it because you see that for now we have the same color for the buy condition and the sell condition. So we can change this, right? So of course, to change it, we have to have a look at the documentation. So let's have a look. So you see here we have style, location, color. Okay, so we can try to change the color. For the colors, here is the documentation, and you can use constants like color equal color.red. Okay, so let's try it. So we can put as an argument, so color equals color dot red. Okay, so let's try another color for the other one. So you can have the list of color by typing color dot control space, and you will have a list of functions to compute colors. But you have also built-in colors, and you have the list right here. So in our case, we will use the green color. So let's click it. It's red and it has a documentation, so Pinescript knows this color. Okay, so let's remove our indicator from the chart and let's add it again. Okay, it's better, guys. Now we have our sell signal in red and the buy signal in green. But I don't really like crosses, so let's change the shape. So we have X crosses, let's put a circle, okay? And it's a little bit tiny, no? Because we can't see much. Okay, so let's try to change the size. So let's go back to the documentation. Let's see the parameters. We have a size parameter, okay. Then in the size parameter, size of the shapes. This is what we want. And we have different values. Let's try size.small. So let's add a parameter, size equal small. No, it was size dot small. And we will use the same size for both. Let's remove the indicator, add it again. It's way better, but it's a little bit big, so you can change the size. So size dot control space, and you have all the sizes. We will put it to tiny, tiny again here. Remove it, add it. Okay, so now it's really nice. What can we do now? Let's see. It would be better to have the shapes below the candles when it is a buy signal, no? Because it makes more sense. So let's try. So let's go back to the documentation. Now we have a location parameter. So we will add a location parameter, location equal, and let's see what kind of parameter we can have, what kind of values I mean. Location, so you have location dot above bar, below bar, so we will use below bar. So here it is location dot above for the sell condition, but for the buy condition it will be below, right? Let's try it. Okay, so it's way better, guys. Okay, it's great, it's great. So the final step is just to add the text, okay? So we will say buy for the green dots and sell for the red dots. So again, let's go back to the documentation, and you see that we have a text parameter, and you can see it here, text to display with the shape. This is what we want. So text equal sell, and here text equals buy. Let's remove it, let's add it. Okay, so now it's great, guys. Look, we have our buy sells indicator. Isn't it amazing? Okay. Maybe we can add one last thing, because I'm thinking about it. You see that for the RSI indicator that is built in, you can configure things, right? You can configure the length and the source, choosing the opening price, the high price, low price, closing price, etc. But here for our parameter, we don't have any inputs, okay? You see, here we have an input tab, but for our indicator, we don't have any inputs tab. So maybe we can try to make our indicator configurable. Maybe we can make this configurable, you know, the sell condition and the buy condition. So let's see how to do this. So we see that here it was in the inputs table. So maybe there is an input function in the documentation. Let's try it. Input. Okay, so we have an input function. And we have input, input.bool, input.color, input.float. In our case, we want to be able to configure the threshold, right? Meaning it is a value, a numerical value that could be 83.5 and things like this. So this would be a float value, okay? So we will use this function, and we have some examples here. So let's take the example. So we have this just right here, and we have an input. We will have two inputs, right? One for the sell condition and one for the buy condition. So we will call it sell threshold. So you remember, we will store the input value in this variable, and it will be the same for the buy threshold. Okay? Sorry. Yes. So now we need to configure the inputs. So let's have a look at the documentation. Control click. First, you have a default value, then a title, then a minimum value, a max value, a step value, etc. In our case, we just need the default value and maybe a title, but we don't, yes, maybe we can add a minimum value. So let's say that our default value for the sell threshold would be 83. We will call it sell condition, right? The minimum value would be, let's say 50, and the max value would be 100, right? And the steps, we don't really need this. And for the buy threshold, it will be the same thing, but this time it will be 38 as the default value. Then the title, it will be buy condition. And the minimum value would be this time 0. And the max value will be 50. And we don't need the step parameter. Do you agree? So let's try it. Okay, so nothing has changed, but this time, let's see, we have a sell condition parameter, we have the inputs tab, right? And we have the sell condition parameter and the buy condition parameter. So this is great. Let's change the value to see if it works. So let's put maybe 90. But it doesn't change anything. So something is wrong. So let's go back to the code. Okay, I see what's going on. In fact, we created the input variables, as you can see, but we didn't use the variable. So now we have to replace the 83 by the input that we have. So we will put the variable here. And for the buy condition, it's the same. We will take the input and we will put it here in the buy condition. So now it should work. Let's try it. Okay, guys. So you go here, you click here on settings. Now let's try to move the value. Okay, it's working, guys. So you see that the higher you go, the less signal you have, but it is closer to a major top. So for example, if you have 81, you have the sell signal here, and it's near the top every time, okay? But if you decrease the value of the sell condition, now you have more and more sell conditions appearing on this chart. Do you get it? It's the same for the buy condition. Let's lower the value. You see that it's disappearing, but it's closer to a major top. You see it here. But we have only one signal. If we make it greater, then we have more signal. So this is how you configure your indicator, right? Okay, guys, that's it. You can see it wasn't that complicated. For the steps, first, you have to say that it is a script for an indicator with the title and with this parameter that is saying that the indicator will be on the charts, on the price chart, and not on a separate chart, right? Then you declare the inputs. So let's see. Declare the inputs, right? After this, we are calculating the RSI. Then we have a sell condition and a buy condition, and we plot them on the charts. And of course, this is not needed because look what happens. We are displaying the RSI on the price chart. This is not good, okay? So we don't need this line anymore. We just need to display the shapes. That's all for today's video. Let me know if you want more videos like this. Take your time to understand each step of the script. This is very important, guys. Don't hesitate to replay the video if you need to. That's all for today's video. It's time to leave the Crypto Lab. Thanks for watching. Do not ever be afraid to make new experiments. And if someone tells you you're crazy, just tell them. Time will tell.